everyone, thank you for watching. In today's video I am doing a VR to the hashtag morethanawitch. I think VR means video response, I could be wrong. I always thought VR meant virtual reality, but in this video I'm going to be answering 10 questions that were set by Abi the Witch about me and my personality. This is totally self-indulgent, so if you're not interested in me prattling on about my likes and my name and my interests and things like that, whether I'm into astrology or not, then go and find another video to watch, something that's a bit more educational. Thank you to Abi the Witch for setting up this challenge. I believe she's taking a break at the moment, but I've seen a couple of responses to her initial video and I thought I'd have a go too. So let's jump right in. Welcome to the video, everyone. Welcome to the channel if you're new. Thank you for watching. I'm Ren. I'm called the Cemetery Witch as I live on a cemetery. So I thought this was a little bit of fun. You might learn something about me. I might even learn something about myself. Abi has set 10 questions. As I said, I think she's taking a break at the moment from YouTube. I think she possibly did this hashtag like a year ago as well, but I've seen a couple of responses and I thought I would have a go. So they are just questions about me. Some of them are kind of witchy and spiritual, but the idea is you just get to learn a little bit more about the YouTuber. So the first question is, what's your name? So my name is Ren. That is a nickname. It's a shortened version of my full name, my legal name, but everybody calls me Ren and I think that it suits me. It was actually started by a dear friend of mine. She has MS. She finds it quite hard to remember names sometimes. I don't know if animals and birds is like a way for her to remember, but like I said, it's like a shortened version of my name anyway, so she called me Ren and it has stuck. And I have used it in magical and pagan communities, and then it's just kind of like gone on from there. I do have a magical name. I have a name that I use in ceremony and ritual, and not a single person on this earth other than me knows that name, much to my husband's annoyance. He doesn't understand why he can't just know, but it is a magical name. It's a name that I adopt and I use when I step into that role as priestess, when I'm working magic by myself. And like many other people who have chosen a magical name or have had a magical name revealed to them, I have a magical name that I do not tell anyone about. So I have that kind of like an alter ego, I guess. It's not really, it's just the magical priestess, that working priestess role. You know, when we step into, when we create our magic circle and we're in that mindset ready for magic and we've cleansed ourselves and we've got ourselves ready to get into that way of thinking, I think it helps to have a name. So I have a name that was given to me, that was revealed to me, and I shall keep that as my secret until my grave. Maybe I might let my husband know if I know I'm dying or something, but yeah, that is something, and I quite like having that. I quite like having that. Nobody knows my magical name. I have a middle name as well. That is terribly old-fashioned, but it's my mum's first name, so I think that is quite nice. So yeah, I have a middle name as well. And I have a married name. I am very proud to be married. I'm very proud to use that name. And I have a maiden name, obviously, but I also have another, I have an ex-married name. I was married to someone else before my husband that I have now. I make it sound like I'm collecting them. I'm not. I don't intend to have any more husbands. I certainly don't intend to have any more Libran husbands. The last one and this one are both Libra, which is very weird. My daughter's a Libra too. I seem to be surrounded by Librans. But yeah, I love being Mrs. and I love using my married name. I'm quite traditional and old-fashioned in a lot of things. And that for me is something that I really like. I like having changed my name. I like having a married name. It does not bother me in the slightest. I think if I had more of a connection to my maiden name, I might have been tempted to have both names, have a double-barreled name. As wanky as they sound, sorry if you've got one, they just, in my part of the world that I'm in, everything's a little bit pretentious. I'm not saying that having a double-barreled name is, but for some of the people that are here and choose to have a double-barreled name, it's a bit wanky and it's a bit pretentious. However, I'm saying that I would have one myself if I valued my maiden name, if I felt a stronger connection to it than I do. I look back at myself as quite an awkward teenager and child, and I got married the first time very, very young. So I let go of that name at a very, very early age. And I think that's why I don't feel that connected to it. So, but if I was, then yeah, I would definitely consider using both names. But I love having my married name and I'm happy to use it. I was going to be called Rhiannon. Yeah, I was going to be called Rhiannon, as per the Fleetwood Mac song, Mum, why didn't you do it? And Welsh goddess as well, there's a Rhiannon, isn't there? I would have preferred that, I think, to my maiden name. Sorry, Mum, I just feel like it's quite magical and I love the song and I just think that would have been super cool. So I was nearly Rhiannon. I don't know what I would have been if I was a boy. Yeah, I don't know. I'll have to ask my mum that, but maybe it was never even considered. I don't know. But names carry great significance, don't they? And sometimes I feel like they carry personalities. Like I think of some people I've met over the years that have shared the same name and they've all had the same sort of like personality traits. It's interesting, isn't it? There's a great significance in a name. I'd love to know, do you like your name? Would you change it? Have you changed it? Would you have picked a different name if you'd had a choice? Or do you think that your parents gave you the best name ever? I've seen some really, really beautiful and interesting names out there. My daughter's got quite an unusual name. Her name is Tabitha. Hi Tabitha, if you're watching, love you. And people always say to me, oh, that's a cat's name. No, it's not. It's a human's name. It's a human's name or a cat's name. But people seem to connect that name with cats, especially witchy cats that belong to witches. But anyway, I thought it was a beautiful name, and it is the name of Samantha's child in Bewitched. Those of you that have seen that will recognise that. But yeah, I love names. I think names are so interesting. They're just, yeah, and they're a big thing as well. Like I think if I'd met my husband and he had a name that I didn't like, I mean, that sounds really shallow, but I'm not sure I would have coped with that. I mean, obviously if I'd met him and he was absolutely amazing, which he is, then, you know, the name just kind of pales into significance. But I don't know, what do you do if you meet someone and they've got a really, really awful name, in your opinion? I don't know. Maybe you just call them by their surname or something. I don't know. But let's move on to question 2 now, which is, how old are you? So I'm old enough to forget. That's a true story. I'm old enough to be a grandmother. I'm old enough to no longer be visible on a drop-down menu. I have to scroll and find my year of birth. And I'm old enough to have been a witch longer than I haven't been a witch. So that gives you a rough idea of my age. I think when you meet witches, they can be really confusing creatures. You'll meet a witch and you'll be like, well, you could be 20 or you could be 50. It's really, really hard to tell. I think someone said that to me once, and I think there's a lot in that. I always looked younger than I was, quite significantly, until I think about a year ago. It's been a hard year. There has been a lot going on. There's been a lot to worry about, And I think I am now looking every one of my 42 years, if not older now. And that's not a cue to get you all to go, oh, you look younger, you don't look 42. No, that's just an honest assessment of the situation with my face. I now look a lot older than 42, I think personally, when previously I did look younger. I did, but it's been a bit of a tough paper round recently and it's showing. So number 3, do you use astrology? What are your big 3? So do I use astrology? I don't think that I do use it because I am not an expert or anywhere near an expert in it by any means. I do have a keen interest in it, and that is something that has come about fairly recently. Very interested in astrology. It's obviously very complex, you know, birth charts are very complex, there's a lot going on, and then when you compare that to what's going on in the sky at any one time, it's very, very complex. But from what I've seen of those that do have knowledge and do have experience and skill, it seems to be very, very accurate. And I've got a book, I've shown it before in some of my videos. I think in the second episode of my favourite books, part 2, I mention an astrology book that I have that is about the sun signs, and it is so scarily accurate. It's absolutely fantastic. It's one of my favourite books. And just recently, I've been getting more and more into astrology. I always forget my big 3. You know, I'm always going on about how terrible my memory is. My memory is so bad that every time I look up my big 3, I forget what they are. So yet again, I've had to write them down. I know my sun sign, or my star sign, whatever you'd like to call it. I obviously know that one because I've known that one forever. So that information is staying in. But I am a Cancer sun, Sagittarius rising, and a Virgo moon. So that means that as a person, I am open, frank, honest, but that means that I can be a little bit blunt sometimes. I am not a wordsmith. I'm not particularly good with my words. I try and be careful with them, but I fail miserably, and sometimes I just offend people and I don't mean to. I literally mean no harm. I'm probably one of the just softest and gentlest people that you'll met, probably a person that would never want to cause anyone any harm or hurt. But I can be quite insensitive with my words because I'm just, yeah, there's just like a block there. So I live my life in a very simple and straightforward manner. It's just the way that I am. I'm quite sort of like straight down the middle, very basic, very simple, very straightforward. I'm actually very emotional and very sensitive. I'm quite serious-minded, but I am cheerful for the most part. And so if I ever offend you, you can guarantee yourself that I did not mean to do that. So if I ever do that, please tell me why, please tell me how I made you feel, and I will do my absolute best to make amends. But I can be very blunt and frank and indiscreet, and I don't mean to be, and I can only blame my astrology. I am fastidious to the extreme. I don't tolerate messes very well. I am organised, I'm practical, I'm methodical. I'm guessing that's the Virgo moon coming into play. And yeah, I want to know, what are your big 3? What are your big 3 and what is your personality like? Are there any sticking points like the ones I've just mentioned above for myself? Are there any sticking points, any sort of personality traits that you think are as a result of your astrology? I would love to know. Tell me all about it. So question number 4 is, did you grow up in a religious household? The answer is no. My family aren't religious. I don't think any of them are. I'm thinking out towards cousins and aunts and uncles. There's quite a few spiritual people in our family. And my mum was confirmed, my nan was confirmed. My mum has definitely got a faith, got a belief, but that's something that she keeps quite privately, and I don't think really I don't know if that influences her or not. I don't know if that's just because it was something she was led to believe. I don't know if just because it kind of feels traditional. I don't know what. But my mum would not come across as a religious person. I mean, oh my goodness. My mum is funny, she's loud, she can be really controversial, she's got a very good sense of humour, and she sometimes laughs at things that are very inappropriate. So when I say that my mum's got a belief, don't think of her as this like churchy person at all. Sorry if you're watching this, Mum. I absolutely love you and adore you. I'm just relating this to the question. So I do remember thinking about God as a child. I went to a C of E school, so there were always prayers and hymns and talk about God. And I remember mulling God over, and I remember kind of thinking that, no, I don't believe in you, and not being worried by that. You know, I don't think I grew up in an environment, it was churchy to a degree, in that, you know, you go to your school Christingle service at Christmas, you know, you go at Easter, you go at harvest, you have a harvest festival. Is this kind of like all ringing a bell a bit here? But no, I don't ever remember feeling scared. I don't think there was any kind of like religious dogma. There was no, you're going to go to hell. There was nothing like that. It doesn't tend to be the way we do things in the UK. So yeah, I remember those experiences. But I was also lucky in that we had a maypole at school. We danced the maypole. There was a lot coming in from all angles. So I didn't grow up in a religious household. There were religious influences from outside school, but not from inside. And my nan as well. Like my nan, she was confirmed. I've got her Bible, something my mum gave to me. But I don't feel that nan was like overtly religious either. And so many things that I wish I'd spoken to my nan about before she died. We did have a long chat. I have got some information on the family and, you know, like the sort of the practical, the sort of family tree bits and bobs. She told me a little bit about her life as a younger woman, but I wish I'd had a chance to ask her some of the more spiritual questions, what she believed in, how she felt about, you know, her beliefs, you know, how she felt about mine. I really wish I'd had that opportunity. If you're young and you're watching this and your grandparents are still alive, ask them so many questions about their life and their loves and their experiences, and ask them all the deep and meaningful questions as well. I really, really wish I had. What are you manifesting for the future? That is question number 5. I'm manifesting something. That's all I'm going to say. I'm manifesting something. Those that know me well. What did I say? Woe me now. Those that know me well will probably be able to place that. I feel like if I tell you exactly what it is, it's open to being diluted, either on purpose or not on purpose. It's that whole thing, to will, to know, to dare, to keep silent, isn't it? I'm going to keep silent. But then when it is manifested, I will tell you all, and I'll refer back to this video. I would also obviously like to manifest better health. That is not as simple as, you know, eating the right things, moving, not having bad things for you. I do all of those things already. I take as good care of myself as I can take, but because I have a connective tissue disorder and I'm mechanically wonky, obviously it's giving me all sorts of problems. So I would like to be able to get on top of those. I am fully open to being able to do that. So yeah, that's something that I believe will happen. So let's manifest that as well. But otherwise, I'm not trying to manifest anything else at the moment. That's 2 big things that I am going to bring into existence. I am prepared for magic. My life will be magic, and my life is magic. So yes, the power of belief and manifestation. I would ask you guys what you are manifesting, but I don't want to open that up to other people's energies. So I'm asking you in my head, what will you guys manifest? Because I'm interested, but yeah, don't answer that question. Keep it to yourselves. So question 6, do you have a favourite season? Yes and no. The reason that I say yes and no is because yes, I have a favourite time, But no, it's not a season, it's a transition between seasons. So I really, really love late spring, early summer. So Beltane, I guess around that time when everything's really abundant, it feels full of promise. I feel like magically there's a lot going on. I mean, there are arguments back and forth about whether the veil is thinner at Beltane, like it is at Samhain. And I feel, my personal view is that yes, it is. That's what I've been taught. That's what I've seen some witches say, but equally, I know other witches that say no. I've seen other witches, famous witches that haven't mentioned this at all. I feel like it is. I feel like we're much closer to lots of entities and spirits and beings and vice versa at that time. It feels energetically powerful to me. It's warm, it's pretty, everything is blooming and growing, everything feels joyful and abundant, and I just feel alive. I know I'm moving into warmer weather. I know we're moving into longer days. I know that I'm going to feel better generally. I absolutely love this transition from spring into summer. So that is my favourite season. I guess if I had to be pushed for one, I would say summer in that case. But again, I would count that from Beltane onwards. What is your favourite season? I would love to know. Obviously, I absolutely love autumn. Autumn is so pretty. It is, it's beautiful. But I wrestle with the cold and damp, which is funny because this year it hasn't been cold so far. But I don't know. There's just something really, really special about late spring, early summer for me. So even though autumn is up there, I'll be honest, I love all the seasons, but it's a tussle, I guess, between summer and autumn, but I'll go with summer, early summer. So number 7, do you have a favourite colour? No, I love all the colours, and the two things that rock my world are colour and aroma, and just energetically there's so much vibrationally about each colour that it's very, very difficult for me to pick between them. But if I absolutely had to be pushed, then, well, not absolutely, I do have a favourite colour, but I just have such a love and respect and joy for all the colours. But my favourite colour, and if I had to really be pushed to just absolutely say one and one only, it would be green. I love green. It makes me feel settled, happy, relaxed. It makes me feel like myself. I wear green a lot. It makes me feel natural. It's just lovely. One of the questions, there was a second question for this part. Do you think it's your aura colour? I have no idea. Absolutely no idea, but I absolutely love green. And it's quite an interesting colour culturally, isn't it? So if you think about some of the associations with green, think about money, we think about being green with envy, so jealousy. We think about toxicity, like poor health. So when we think about like being sick, we think about like turning green. It's also a permissive colour. It tells us to go on our traffic lights over here. It's like a big thumbs up, isn't it? It's related to the environment. So when we think of like logos or projects or things to do with the environment, people use green. And for me, it's the colour of hope as well. And I believe it's the colour that our eye can see most shades of, because it's out there in the natural world and there is so much of it. Our eye can discern between lots of shades of green and not so many shades of other colours. But yeah, green, I love it. It fascinates me. It makes me feel so, so happy. I do feel like an 8-year-old having a favourite colour. I think that's what that question does for me. I'm not criticising these questions, and I really hope that Abi the Witch is watching. Thank you, Abi. Love these questions. But I feel like as a grown-up, should we have a favourite colour? Should we have a favourite anything? Or is that okay? Yeah, it's okay, isn't it? Let people have their favourite things. Let people have their favourite things. It's just, when I relay it back like that, it's like, am I 8 having a favourite colour? It's pink, isn't it? Usually when you're 8, pink or purple. Question number 8. Do you have a job, career or lifestyle that supports you and your family? What do you do? Now, I feel like this question asks me if I'm earning money, and I'm not going to answer that. I think that when we ask people, when we get to know someone, we ask what they do, don't we? And I always feel like that's a bit sad, because there's more to a person than what they do as a job, unless of course, you know, that job absolutely fulfills them and it means everything to them, which I hope for most people that is the way. But I'm going to answer this in a way that I'm going to say yes, because my witchcraft and my knowledge in holistic therapies and the kind of personality that I think you have to be a therapist, I feel supports my family emotionally, energetically, spiritually. So I'm gonna answer the question that way. So I am a qualified clinical aromatherapist, Reiki practitioner and Swedish massage therapist. I used to be a tarot reader. I am still brushing up my tarot skills, and I hope one day to be able to go back to those. I'm not doing those in a professional capacity at the moment, but obviously I use those skills all the time with my family. I think it's very awkward for us British people. We don't like talking about money, but also I just don't like talking about that anyway, because it does link in very much, again, to the question that we always ask with people. Oh, so what do you do? And I know that's just people trying to find common ground, find something to talk about, something to ask questions about. But I wish we would, when we meet people and we're getting to know them, I wish we'd actually get to know them and ask about things beyond work. You know, what interests you? What are your hobbies? Now, we are going to have a question like that, so there is more of that coming. So thank you, Abi. But I just wanted to say that yes, I do have a trade, and that trade is helpful in all ways, whether that earns me money or not. So there we have it. I am a holistic therapist by trade. So I just want to add to that, actually. There's actually a million things I'd love to do as well. I would love to be a jewellery maker. I would love to be a gardener. And I would like to go back to professional tarot reading. And one day I intend to do that. I used to read when I was a younger woman, when I was about 32. And I was really getting in the swing of that. And I love doing that. And then I just, some events happened, things happened. And I left the tarot alone for a long time, and I'm kind of coming back to it now, and I'm working on it, and I'm working on it slowly, and it's all there up in here still, but I don't feel like at this minute in time I'm ready to offer that to the outside world. I have a lot of trouble as well getting the words in my brain actually cognitively out of my mouth, so it's really difficult sometimes to get the information out even though it's in there. So when I get better at that, then that's when that will open up to me. But at the moment there's this like block between brain and mouth, and I'm trying to work out why that is. I actually think it's to do with vitamins, but that's a story for another day. But I'm trying my best to get back on top of that. I think it might also be my age as well. I'm going to be doing a video on the link between menopause and perimenopause and witches and witchcraft, so look out for that one. Question number 9. What are some things that make you unique and individual? So not a surprise for anyone here, but obviously living on a cemetery is pretty unusual. It's a pretty unusual setup within the UK as well. There aren't many houses like the one that we live in. And to actually live on a cemetery rather than just like next door is pretty unusual. So I'm going to say that as the most obvious one. But the one that often surprises people the most is that I am a huge sumo wrestling fan. Sumo is so interesting. There's so much like lore and tradition and ritual surrounding it. It's really, really interesting. I love the whole way that, you know, it's an absolutely brutal fight, and it might not look like it is particularly brutal, but it is. It really, really is. But the sumo wrestlers are so respectful towards each other. There's a real sense of honour, and it's really interesting learning about their life as they live and learn and train and grow in their professional sumo stables. So yeah, I'm absolutely fascinated by sumo wrestling. It's like a whole different world. So yeah, huge sumo fan. My husband is too. It's something we started watching in the pandemic. I don't know how we even got onto it, but we started learning about it, and then we started watching the tournaments. So there's one every other month, and then in between those tournaments, the sumo wrestlers go on tour. So yeah, every other month we are glued to our screens for 2 weeks. There's sumo wrestling on for 15 days every other month. So that is a huge joy of mine, a huge passion of mine. So other interesting things about me, I don't know, I'm quite male in my energy. I'm very much a female, and I would probably be described as as quite a feminine female, but I think I'm quite male in my energy. And my best friend at school was a boy. I hung around with a group of girls once I got there. I used to walk to school with a lad, and then at the weekend I used to hang out with him and literally all the boys, and I'd be the one girl hanging out with them while they played football and stuff. He lived just across the road from me, so we used to, hang out quite a bit as well after school. I absolutely love anything to do with the ocean and fish and sea creatures and sea animals. That is a huge interest for me. Documentaries. I don't mind fishing shows either, so like Jeremy Wade, River Monsters, absolutely anything to do with the sea and the ocean is just absolutely fascinating. I absolutely love fish documentaries. That's weird, isn't it? I would say as well that I am quite tough. I definitely carry some of that Cancer energy, I think. Quite a tough exterior, quite a tough cookie mentally. I would say that's catching up with me a little bit, I'm feeling in recent years, but it has been ignore the house and the situation I found myself in now. I'm not saying I'm rich by any means. I'm not. People look at the house and think that I am. I think I've explained a million times that we can't afford to put the heating on now. Things have gone up, but up until meeting my husband, it was quite a difficult life, and we've had some quite difficult things since meeting as well. And I'm quite a tough cookie. I will just keep pulling my socks up and keep putting one foot in front of the other. And I am quite determined. I'm quite a determined person ultimately. And yeah, I'd say quite mentally robust. That doesn't mean that I don't suffer with anxiety and depression like everyone else. I have definitely, struggle with anxiety sometimes. I'm definitely quite socially awkward. Social situations are very difficult for me. I'm actually extremely shy, but I am quite tough in terms of nothing will keep me down for too long. I will not be beaten. I will not be beaten by others. And I think that comes from being from quite a sort of tough line of strong, independent women. We all get on with things. We all carry that energy, even if our, the hand we've been given at any particular time is quite tough. We will just get on with it. So I think we're all like that. My grandmother, my mum, my sister. I think we are a tough bunch of women. So yeah, what are some things that make you unique and individual? I don't know really. There's probably people out there that can think of a million amazing things about them. I think I'm quite a normal person really. I don't think there's anything that special. There's quite a few football personalities in my family. I suppose that's an interesting one, but that's not really about me so much. Number 10, what advice would you give your younger self? Buy a house at the first opportunity, because the economy was so much better back then, and also I think that would have given me a bit more of an equal standing within certain relationships, having that independence. I wish I'd done that when I was sort of 17, 18 and I worked full time. I really, really wish that I had bought a house. And obviously, not a problem paying rent at home to my parents. That's only right to get you into the swing of doing that. But sometimes I think that money could have gone towards saving for a deposit. I wish I'd been steered in the direction of buying a house at that age. I think that would have been possible. But I suspect that my parents obviously just living their own lives, dealing with their own things, dealing with their own problems and their own challenges. I look very much now at, you know, how life is for me at this age, and I can remember my parents being younger than me and me understanding why, you know, they might not have had everything worked out, or they might not have had the energy, or, you know, like things like that. I wish I'd been steered in that direction, but I'm not blaming them. I just think that when you're like 18, you're still quite young, aren't you? You're a baby, and probably the last thing that they thought that I would probably get on well with doing is having my own home. But I wish I'd saved my money. I wish I had made some personal choices that were different. But in terms of advice to give my younger self, I would say to myself that you're doing the best you can, and that's all anyone can do. I would tell my younger self that I was worthy. I would tell my younger self that I was perfect just the way that I was, and that I would work life out and everything would turn out to be okay. I would probably say, don't sweat the small stuff. But I just don't think you can be given advice, can't you, as a younger person by an older person. And I just don't think you get it, do you? You just don't get it. You have to mature and grow and become older and wiser yourself. I think that sometimes advice is wasted on younger people, because you have to kind of ignore it as a younger person. You have to go out into the world and actually make your own mistakes and learn things yourself. So I'm sure, you know, like my parents, even if they tried to get me to save or think about buying a house, it probably would have been the last thing on my radar at that age. I probably would have just ignored them anyway. So there's an extra question here. What are your favourite interests and hobbies outside of witchcraft? And I have to say that I have loads of interests and things that tickle my fancy, but age and health really dictate what I can do at the moment. I don't participate in any of these currently. I suppose my energy is all spent talking and thinking about witchcraft. I guess that's kind of like my special subject, if you like. But I love bushcraft, I love the great outdoors, I love hiking. I'm not able to do those at the moment with my dodgy heart. Any amount of activity at the moment is giving me issues. So that is just one that is not possible. Same with sport. I love sport. I'm quite happy to watch it on the TV. And I don't spend a lot of time doing that, I have to say. I have to feel really inspired to watch something apart from the sumo. I don't, you know, I'm not plugging in to watch every single football match there ever is, or, you know, I mean, I watch some of the bigger tournaments, but despite that, I do love sport. I used to be a thigh spinner, quite an accomplished one at that. Again, that is something I can't do at the moment and don't do. I also used to do card making and scrapbooking and used to teach that. But again, I just don't have the energy for that. I just don't have the desire to do it. As much as I used to enjoy it, for me, it's all about getting through the day. I love stone circles and ancient sites. We do get out to see some of those sometimes. As you know, they make me really happy. So many things. I have so many interests. Politics, I'm quite a political animal. I have many interests, but I don't have them in the form of hobbies. So, but I'm hoping when we get my heart sorted soon, there is an issue, just working out currently what it is. Hopefully I can maybe do a bit more. But then even hiking, I cannot hike. I just can't do the distance, you know, because of my connective tissue disorder. I seize up. So as an older woman, as an older woman, I can't do the things that I used to be able to do when I was younger. When I was younger, I could go out and walk for 10 hours a day. Now I can't get anywhere near that. So I have these interests, but they're not hobbies. They're not hobbies anymore, but once they were. So let me know if there's any of these questions that you like, that you want to answer, then let me know in the comments, just your responses to them. You know, what are your hobbies and interests? I would love to hear. I love reading the comments. So thank you so much for watching this totally self-indulgent episode. was just really, really fun for me to do. I hope you enjoyed watching it, and maybe you learned a little bit more about me, or maybe a little bit more about yourself, in that not everything has to be witchy. You can be completely witchy and you can be a sumo wrestling fan. That is the beautiful thing about us as people. We are all so individual, and that is what makes the world go round. Variety is the spice of life. So thank you so much for watching. If you feel like subscribing, that is a 1-second way that you can support the channel. And just thanks for being here, and I'll be back soon with another video. Okay, take care, love and blessings, bye.